Well, it doesn't get much more rural than this, does it, Jeff?
No, Ray, it doesn't. West Athens, Maine is where we are. It's a little more than an intersection of a couple of roads located about 2.5 miles northwest of the town of Athens, which is not really all that much bigger. The area is pretty close to the dead center of Maine.
I don't like the way you said dead. There's only a few houses out here. Most of them are trailer homes, and even those are pretty spread apart. I see cars and trucks that are obviously being worked on or abandoned. We just passed a dilapidated house.
This is the kind of place where no one can hear you scream.
And now I'm nervous.
You should be, Ray. You should be. Because this area was once known as Happy Hollow. It made the news for being so haunted because multiple residents claim they saw the ghost every night. Hello, I'm Jeff Belanger.
And I'm Ray Auger. Welcome to episode 349 of the New England Legends podcast. We're on a mission to chronicle every legend in New England one story at a time. Whether it's ghosts, monsters, aliens, roadside oddities, true crime, or the just plain weird, we want to know about it. And we need your help.
We do.
If you've got a strange story you think we should check out, please email us anytime through our website. We always appreciate hearing from you.
We'll explore the haunting of West Athens, Maine, right after this word from our sponsor.
Well, like we said earlier, Athens, Maine is a small town. It was incorporated in 1804, back when this region was still part of Massachusetts. Most of the early settlers were Revolutionary War veterans. The town's population peaked in 1870 when there were just 1,540 people living in roughly 44 square miles. That is Athens. Today, the population is 952 people.
Small town.
Small town. In fact, it's so small it doesn't even have its own police station, though it does have a volunteer fire department.
And sometimes big events occur in small towns that shake up those communities in a big way. This is true in West Athens, but not for reasons that you'd think. So let's head back to 1905 and see what happened.
It's April of 1905. Theodore Roosevelt is president, and America is booming. The economy is expanding fast. There's jobs to be had all over, and everything is growing. But that doesn't mean there aren't bad neighborhoods where people either don't feel like they're a part of the economic boom or they're just opting out. That's the case in the Brown Tuttle settlement here in West Athens, Maine.
It's called Brown Tuttle because those are the two biggest families in this small region of shanty houses and shacks. Drunken brawls happen on the regular around here, so when someone starts hollering about something, folks don't pay it much mind. Folks who live here call this place Happy Hollow.
Rufus Brown Jr. has lived here all of his 25 years so far. Back in August of 1903, Rufus, or Rufy, as his family and friends call him, married 12-year-old Sadie Wentworth. The two were neighbors in this settlement, and now they're married and living next door to Sadie's parents. Sadie is now 13 years old, and to make life more colorful, Rufy is the jealous type.
Always helps. So it's Thursday, April 20th, and 59-year-old Bill Knights is hanging out in the settlement here in West Athens. Though Knights is from Bingham, Maine, he spends most of his time here at Happy Hollow, often staying with his friends John and Mitt Avery. Folks here call him Uncle. He's got friends here, drinking buddies, and he can usually find a party.
Tonight, Uncle found Rufy and Sadie and a bunch of hard cider they bought from a neighbor. For hours, all three pound back hard cider after hard cider. As the night wears on, they're all in their cups and feeling pretty good.
Hey!
But Rufy doesn't like the way Uncle is staring at Sadie. He warns him to cut it out. Still, they go back to their drinking.
Yeah, the more Rufy drinks, the more agitated he's getting. And Uncle seems to be enamored with young Sadie.
I see that. Some people can't handle their booze. Rufy strikes me as an angry drunk.
Hey!
Oh, man. Rufy is accusing Uncle of looking at Sadie a little too long again.
Boy, he is the jealous type. And he's pretty drunk. Where's Rufy going?
It looks like he's heading next door to his father-in-law's house.
Get out of here, Uncle!
Oh, man. Rufy has his father-in-law's shotgun.
Uncle isn't that dumb or that drunk. He remains inside the house with Sadie. Is he crazy? Rufy just shot at his own house. The shot hit the wall and roof.
Okay, Uncle is getting up now to head outside and try to defuse the situation. Rufy just hit Uncle in the head with the butt of the shotgun.
And Uncle just went limp on the ground.
Oh, Rufy is still hitting him.
Oh, come on, Rufy. He's had enough.
I don't like the looks of this.
Me neither. I don't think... Oh, do you...
No. I don't think Uncle's alive.
No.
He's not breathing. Oh, God, look, his skull is crushed in.
Awful. A few neighbors have gathered to see what's going on, but it's strange. No one seems all that concerned.
I could see Rufy explaining to his father-in-law what just happened.
And a neighbor just left to go fetch Deputy Sheriff Ernest Cook.
It's early Friday morning when the sheriff arrives at Happy Hollow with Coroner Addison and a newspaper reporter. Doesn't take long for the coroner and sheriff to determine some folks got drunk, there was a fight, and Bill Knights wound up dead.
The most shocking thing to me is folks around here are giggling about it. I mean, there's a dead man right here on the ground, and some of these neighbors, they don't care at all.
Rufy doesn't seem to care that he's getting arrested for the murder either.
It's not his first time being arrested.
Rufy's father is here now too, and he doesn't seem to care that his kid is getting arrested.
Rufus Sr. has also been arrested before. This is just another day in the settlement. A lot of people here have criminal records. Jail, here, they figure, what's the difference?
It's Saturday when the story hits the Daily Kennebec Journal. The reporter who covered the story was not very kind to the people in the settlement. He wrote, and I quote, "The murder is only the culmination of a series of deeds which have wrought long on the patience of the people of Athens. And the end of the settlement is not far distant. None of the families have any more sense of decency, morality, or cleanliness than cattle. And though always docile, when confronted by officers of the law, they are little better than wild beasts when under the influence of liquor."
Considering no one in the settlement is going to rat on Rufy, the sheriff is left with testimony of Rufy saying it was a drunken fight because Uncle was trying to force himself on Sadie. When no one argues with that story, it's tough to press the case for cold-blooded murder. So the county attorney files charges of manslaughter. Months pass. It's now early August, and it's clear here in Happy Hollow that the story is far from over. Folks are nervous, especially in the evening, because now there's a ghost. Bill Knights is haunting almost everyone who lives here.
When Knights, or Uncle as they called him, would visit here for days at a time, he often stayed at the home of John and Mitt Avery, and they believe that the ghost of Bill is still here. Not only have they seen his ghost walking around the settlement, looking just as he did when he died with his broken head and his bloodied face, but inside the house, Bill still makes his presence known. Whoa,
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mitt's bed covers were just yanked off him by some unseen force.
Everyone is spooked. They're staying in at night since Uncle's ghost has started coming around. Plenty of people in the settlement have seen him.
The haunting even makes the August 8th, 1905 Lewiston Evening Journal newspaper. Ray, check out these quotes.
Well, one neighbor agrees that the ghost of Bill wanders each night. One man said, and I quote, "I ain't afraid of him. I never done nothing to him."
Sure, but he didn't do anything to help, and Rufy flew into a drunken rage either. Some suspect that the ghost of Knights is haunting Rufy Brown worst of all, and the nightly visits are chipping away at Rufy's sanity. Ray, read this quote from Rufy in the article.
Okay, it says, quote, "Rufy Brown Jr., who is charged with killing Knights, says he sees old Bill almost every night, but adds, 'Damn him, I ain't afraid of him.'"
In September of 1905, Rufus Brown Jr. pled guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to 20 years in state prison. And that brings us back to today. The Brown-Tuttle settlement, or Happy Hollow, sort of dissipated in the years that followed, but it's not like the area filled up with homes and businesses. It's still pretty rural out here.
The most shocking thing to me was that no one seemed to care about Uncle's murder.
Yeah, right.
They thought enough of this guy to call him Uncle, but could care less when he was murdered for allegedly looking at another guy's child wife.
13 years old, too. I mean, that's wrong on a lot of levels.
It is, but marrying a 12-year-old wasn't illegal for a lot of years. Thankfully, the times have changed.
Yeah. So we found this story of the haunting first and then went digging for stories on the crime. This was one of those areas that only locals knew much about, but if you weren't from the settlement, you likely avoided it. If you don't believe you have much quality of life, then a human life isn't worth much. To me, that's the biggest tragedy. They laughed when Bill Knights was killed. They were scared when Bill's ghost returned to haunt them, but that's just how it goes, I guess. Maybe the ghost of Bill Knights hung around just long enough to finally clear out Happy Hollow.
But don't you clear out yet, because that takes us to After the Legend, where we take a deeper dive into this week's story and sometimes veer off course.
After the Legend is brought to you by our mighty Patreon patrons. We can't do what we do without this group of insiders who help us with all the costs it takes to bring you this podcast. We appreciate them. They have their own community where they get early ad-free access to new episodes, plus bonus episodes and content that no one else gets to hear. And you get a unique RSS feed so you can load the early episodes and bonus content into your favorite podcast player. You don't need to log into the website to hear it. It's just $3 per month, and it all goes a long way in helping us. Please visit patreon.com/New England Legends to sign up. To see some old headlines and photos related to this week's story, please click on the link in our episode description or go to our website and click on episode 349. So,
I feel like I knew people like this growing up.
oh, we all did.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't experience any murder or anything, but
No.
it could have happened very easily.
And I'm sure there's still places where it's just nobody pays them any mind. They're their own little community.
Yeah.
And quality of life is not that great, but they stick together and it is what it is.
It's usually a section of the town you're in.
Yeah.
Maybe not the town
course.
itself, but it's a section.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, all those people party
Right.
pretty hard. Families partying together.
The newspaper reporter was not kind. I mean, basically, like they're like cattle, right? They're like animals. Was his impression of seeing them laugh at the death of someone. They called him uncle. It's not like some stranger
I know.
either. I mean, anyone dying, but someone that was sort of allegedly your friend.
And just because they came from the wrong side of the tracks doesn't make them bad people.
Not at all. But that's their life. That's what they know. I remember working on multiple episodes of Ghost Adventures where we were filming at a haunted prison. We've done a lot of haunted prisons over the years. And I remember I've interviewed wardens, corrections officers, and so on. And I was talking to one warden. I think he was from West Virginia State Penitentiary. Anyway, he was saying how he had an inmate that was in there for like 5 years for like armed robbery, vehicle theft, something like that. He was just a couple months away from end of his sentence and getting out. And he walked into the prison yard and he killed someone with a shiv. And so now the warden's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you were out of here in a couple of months and now we're going to tack on years and years and years for this. And the guy just said it just needed to be done. And his point was, the warden's point was, what people don't understand who haven't been to prison is that when you're in prison and you have no freedom and you can't just do whatever you want whenever you want to do it, no cable or whatever, right? No TV. Your quality of life is so low that literally your life is worth a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Or you looked at me funny. And,
sure.
And I'm just going to take some aggression out, and that might cost you your life. Because who cares? What do I have to lose? It's not going to get any worse. And that's what's hard for some people to understand. When you don't have much, then you don't have much to lose.
Right.
And so it's easy to look down on people who are in prison or look down on people that are in, slums or whatever and say, well, they're not worth much. And look at the way they just kill each other.
Yeah.
And that's why. Because
They got to fight for the little that they do have.
right.
In a lot of cases.
And so, in this case, add in alcohol and drugs or whatever. And
Well,
obviously
that never helps.
never helps, never does. But what
And a 13-year-old bride.
12 when they married.
Ugh.
12. And by the way, I did look this up. I don't think it was until like 1950 that most states raised it to,
Oh my gosh.
like, I think it's like 16 with parents' permission, 18 otherwise,
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
I think she was 14 maybe? Or
Yeah.
could have been 13. I don't know.
I mean,
But I know they had to get the permission of the parents.
we both have daughters. When
I
they
know,
were
I can't
12.
remember. My daughter's
no.
13 right now.
No. Right? No. But that's the way. And obviously had parents' permission. They lived next door,
Yeah.
right? Like, so clearly the folks were okay with it,
Right.
Which is
different time, different place,
different everything,
wrong side of the tracks, that kind of thing. It
Yeah.
was like, they live in their own community. They make their own rules.
right? It didn't. That's what it was. And so, a lot of them had criminal records, and it was just this was a place that, but Happy Hollow, haunted. So I found this one. Literally, I found the article of the haunting, and I went, talked about ever since old Bill Knights was killed here, this place has been haunted. And so then I went looking up the crime, and I saw all the details of it, and I went, wow. I mean, this is a place where there's smoke, there's fire, and
Yeah.
we're talking from end of April to early August, so just a few months,
Right.
between the event and the haunting, and then everyone sort of implied that Rufus, good name, right? For someone, that he was losing his sanity over the haunting. That everyone was seeing the ghost of Bill Knights, but Rufy worse.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Sure.
Right. So he murdered him. over and over. Just a brutal story. And today, when you drive through, there's just not much there. Just like we said, couple trailer homes, couple of cars on blocks,
and a ghost.
And a ghost. I'd be curious if it still lingers. Not like the tight knit shanty village that the settlement used to be, but definitely just middle of nowhere, not much to do or whatever, and a ghost story that maybe lingers 100 years later.
Hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to your podcast, because we don't want you to miss a thing. Each Monday, we bring you a From the Vault, where we explore a previous legend with new commentary. And each Thursday, we bring you a brand new episode like this one. Also, please post a review for us. It just takes a second, and it's a great way to help us rise up in a crowded sea of podcasts. You can also download our free New England Legends app for your smartphone and join our New England Legends Facebook group to continue discussing this weirdness with others.
We'd like to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much to our Patreon patrons. And our theme music is by John Judd.
Until next time, remember,
the bizarre is closer than you think.